Hello everyone. This is the 19th part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 138 Ritual Time. After the night he passed out from mental exhaustion, Tom finished the book and added telekinesis to his training schedule. Throughout the month before the ritual, Tom had a set schedule he followed for his training. In the mornings it is physical training to keep his body in perfect condition. This includes his martial arts and swordsmanship practice as well. Tom may not be the best when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, but he's been slowly honing his swordsmanship to an incredible degree. After that, he would usually eat breakfast with his new mother or at the Rosiers with Dorella. Later in the day, Tom would spend his time in his secret lair studying university books and fixing the stolen Stark tech. When night came and it was time to sleep, he would exhaust his magical energy through wandless spells. This way he can practice wandless magic while also growing his now enormous pool of magic. If that wasn't already exhausting, Tom would then practice telekinesis. This would always end with him passing out in exhaustion. Sleep and repeat. Tom would do some variation of this every day up until the ritual. Of course, sometimes this would change as he has a girlfriend that needs attention and an entire organization that constantly needs his leadership. Speaking of his followers, Lord Sirius Black has been making good strides in showing the people how he's changed. After their meeting on the day Tom returned from Hogwarts, Lord Black has been giving interviews to anyone that would listen, and a lot of people would. He was called out by the most famous wizard alive at the moment, Tom Riddle. With Tom shining a light on him, Sirius put on a grand performance, showcasing how he's a changed man that wants nothing but to help the people. The second these interviews were published, Tom scheduled his own interviews so he could keep on top of this before it became old news. Many of the reporters thought it would be to question Lord Black further, but that wasn't Tom's plan. Tom pretty much voiced his elation at Lord Black's change in behavior and wished him good luck in his endeavor to make up for all the wrong he's done. Slowly but surely through the media, Tom was able to start changing Lord Black's reputation for the better. It wasn't hard as the masses would eat up any news related to Tom Riddle, the Slayer of Grindelwald. When the full moon finally arrived, the ritual could now take place. Mimsy already dropped the ingredients off. Tom and his mother spent a lot of time the other day setting everything up, preparing for the big day. On said day, Tom went looking for the Ancient One and found her waiting for him in what seemed to be a ritual room. Everything was set up beforehand as the entire room was filled with runic symbols, bowls of ingredients, torches, pedestals, and all sorts of sacrificial animals, mainly of the snake variety. What's weird is the fact that all the snakes volunteered to be sacrificed. The second they heard of the snake god Manasa and the reason for the ritual, many snakes were fighting over the honor of being used in the ritual. Although it was odd, Tom had no problem with it. This made it a lot easier to gather the needed sacrifices, and he didn't have to worry about keeping them subdued when the ritual took place. The room is large and spacious with a hole in the ceiling to allow the light of the full moon inside. Truly a perfect ritual room, besides the ROR of course. Speaking of the ROR, Tom wanted to use it but wasn't sure that it would work correctly. The ROR was built for wizard-type rituals, while this ritual will draw on the energies of a few different dimensions, including Manasa herself, which is a mystic arts thing. Seeing that this is the case, Tom left the ritual in the capable hands of his new mom, the Ancient One. Of course, the dimensions are safe to use, as Tom refused to mess with that stuff unless his teacher knew for sure that it was safe. Is everything ready? Tom asks nervously as he strolls into the room. Yes, you have nothing to be worried about. I've quadruple checked every component of the ritual. Everything is in place and ready to go. I've even checked the ingredients to be sure there weren't any mix-ups. His bald mother explains, but noticed his nervousness. You don't have to worry. Everything should go smoothly. Hee, am I that obvious? Tom laughs awkwardly as he tries to shake off his nervousness. No, but I've spent many years with you, Tom. For me, it's very easy to read your emotions. She answers with a fond smile as she checks the time. We need to get started. Are you ready? As Tom heard her say it's time to start, his heartbeat quickened and he started sweating. He's done a ritual before, but that was only to remove the tracker from his wand. This ritual will most definitely change him into something else entirely. Would he be human anymore? Would he gain any snake traits? If so, he hopes to whatever god that he doesn't turn into a male lamia. That would be horrible. Tom thought as tragic possibilities start appearing in his mind one after the other. As his nervous and scared atmosphere starts ramping upwards, Tom felt a pair of arms wrap snugly around him. It's going to be all right, his new mom said as she gives him a reassuring squeeze. Instantly, all of the worry and fear disappear. Tom has his mother, the Ancient One, looking out for him. She's the most powerful person on the planet. What does he have to fear? Okay, I'm ready. Chapter 139 Ritual. Once Tom said he was ready, he was escorted to the center of the room. A runic circle surrounded him with countless pedestals inside the circle. Each pedestal has a different animal that needs to be sacrificed during the ritual. Most of the animals are snakes that are waiting patiently, while others are animals that had to be sedated. Okay, I'm going outside the ritual lines to start it up. When the circle you're in lights up, start sacrificing the animals. Don't leave the circle no matter what, all right? The Ancient One says as she hands Tom a knife. Tom gives her a nod as she walks to the edge of the ritual line. As she gets there, she waves her hand, and thousands of eldritch runes appear above the ritual. The floating golden runes act as a mirror, copying the runes drawn on the ground exactly. All right, prepare yourself. The Ancient One calls out as she bends down to touch a set of runes on the ground. Tom knows the gist of how the ritual will work. It's complicated, but he knows what's about to happen. Taking a deep breath, Tom readies himself and tries to calm his nerves. As the Ancient One touches the cluster of runes at the edge of ritual, the cluster glows brightly in a green hue. A chain reaction starts as the lines connecting that cluster start lighting up as well. Soon that green lights spread throughout the entire ritual on the floor. As all of the runic symbols on the floor were dyed in a green glow, the eldritch runes above started shining brighter than before. The second that the circle that surrounded Tom started glowing, he walked to the sedated animals first and one by one started cutting their necks open. The blood of the animals started soaking into the grooves in the ground. Slowly but surely the blood started flowing like a river through the divots in the floor and spreads throughout the entire ritual room. When Tom arrived at the snake sacrifices, each of them bows their heads in respect. Tom feels a little bad as he does his best to kill the snakes as painlessly as possible. Thank you for your sacrifice. Tom would tell them this each time he stepped up to a different snake. With every sacrifice, the knife on Tom's hand started to glow brighter and brighter. By the time he finished slaughtering the animals, the knife looked like a small red lightsaber. With the runes above and below glowing and the blood of every sacrifice flowing through the room, Tom, with the knife still in hand, walks to the center of the circle and takes a seat on the floor. This is when Tom's nervousness starts kicking in once again. Looking over at his new mother, Tom sends her a fond smile as he holds the knife out and faces the tip of the blade towards himself. I love you, Mom, he says just in case something goes wrong. As the Ancient One heard him say this, Tom plunges the knife into his own heart. The knife pierces his chest like a hot knife moving through butter. Ah! Tom screams as he pulls the knife from his chest. The knife falls to the floor as blood gushes from the wound on his chest and flows through the grooves on the floor. The life seems to drain from Tom's eyes as his heart stops and he falls over on the floor dead. Tears fall from the Ancient One's eyes as she sees her son's bloody dead body right in front of her. This is all a part of the ritual, but seeing her son like this is truly heartbreaking. He'll be fine as long as I do everything right, she thought as she waves her hand. At the wave of her hand, the eldritch runes above the ritual start to descend slowly. As they get lower and lower, the brightness of it and the runes on the floor glow brighter and brighter. Soon, the ritual room was blindingly bright, so much so that the Ancient One had to cover her eyes for fear of going blind. When the eldritch runes and the ritual runes on the ground converged, every rune condensed and shot towards Tom's dead body. As the runes were wrapping themselves around Tom's body, the blood that filled the divots in the floor started flowing backward. Blood from every sacrifice, including his own, was sucked into the hole in Tom's chest. After a few minutes, every rune that once filled the room bound Tom's body tightly, and every drop of blood that flowed through the room was somehow inside his body. As the very last drop entered inside, the runes that danced on his skin started to dim. Slowly, the runes stopped shining and seemed to melt into Tom's skin, disappearing completely. When the runes disappeared, the stab wound in Tom's chest closed at an alarming pace. As the wound closed completely, Tom's eyes opened wide. His body started levitating off the ground. Tom's mouth opened wide as he took a gasping breath to fill his empty lungs. Looking around, Tom could see himself floating in the center of the room. He could feel the changes that took place in his body and it felt truly odd. When the Ancient One saw his eyes open, her heart swelled with happiness. Thoughts of her son not surviving washed away instantly. "Huh? I'm levitating?" Tom asked in a hoarse voice. As he said this, Tom tried to control the levitation. That seemed to be a bad idea, as his body fell from the air and smacked into the floor. Tom. Chapter 140 Realm of Death. Flashback. As Tom plunged the knife into his chest, he didn't expect much. If something were to happen, he thought he might appear on the beach again and see Manasa for the third time. Maybe she would thank him for becoming her avatar and they would talk for a bit until the ritual finished. That may have happened, but Tom has long drawn the attention of a very powerful entity in the universe. She's been watching Tom for some time now, and he was so kind to voluntarily step into her domain. When Tom died, the snake god Manasa went to pull his soul to her domain. This would have worked, but one of the strongest entities in the universe intercepted his soul along the way. She would try to fight back and take it as she planned, but the aura of death that blocked her was something she wouldn't dare to interfere with. "Sigh, please don't die, Tom," Manasa said as she retreated back to her domain. When Tom opened his eyes after plunging the knife into his chest, he found himself in a realm of pure darkness. As far as the eye could see was just pure black darkness. Although it is dark in every direction, Tom could see the outlines of trees and mountains in the background. Welcome to the realm of death, Tom Riddle. A beautiful woman with black hair and eyes, dressed scantily in black revealing clothing appears in front of him. "Huh? Where am I?" Tom asks as he feels a very intimidating aura radiate from the woman before him. "Wait. Realm of death? You have been brought to my realm. That little snake wanted to speak to you, but I scooped you up instead," she says as a throne appears behind her and she takes a seat, crossing her legs seductively. Are you death?" Tom asks as her aura has the same feeling as the Deathly Hallows. "Very keen, aren't you?" "Yes, I am, but you can call me Lady Death," she says with a small smile. When Lady Death confirmed Tom's assumption, a tingle of fear spread throughout his body. He was worried that she wouldn't allow the ritual to finish as he killed himself for it. "Do I have to stay dead now?" he thought as he hoped that wouldn't be the case. "So, why am I here?" Tom asked as he didn't bring the Hallows together yet. He has them, of course, but the wand hasn't been within a mile of the cloak and stone. You've been avoiding our first meeting. No one can avoid death, she says with a bit of annoyance in her voice. She wasn't lying. Tom could have brought the Hallows together and met her last summer. He's been waiting to do the ritual, so he could be stronger, while also hoping the analysis would finish soon. Sorry about that. Tom laughs awkwardly. I didn't know how you would feel about me, so I was waiting for. Stop. I already know. Lady Death interrupts him. I've been keeping an eye on you. Did you know that you're the first person to ever obtain all 3 of the Hallows at once? Really? Tom asks. Yes, many have had more than one, but never at the same time, she says with a small smile. So I'll just get this out now. Please don't take any offense to this, as I mean none towards you. Tom stands there awkwardly for a moment and just decided to let it out. Will I really become your master when I bring all of the Hallows together? As Tom asks this, the atmosphere around Lady Death becomes enraged. The ground starts shaking as her expression morphs into an angry sneer. Do you think anyone could truly be the master of death itself? She exclaims in rage. Ahem. I'm sorry I didn't. Tom starts apologizing. Suddenly, all the rage and anger disappeared as Death started laughing out of nowhere. Haha. You should have seen your stupid face. She laughs as Tom looks extremely confused and relieved at the same time. So, you aren't mad? Tom hesitantly asks. No, and to answer your question, you're already my master. You've owned all of the Hallows for a while now. You simply have to bring them together for us to make it official, she says as annoyance starts creeping back into her voice. Which is why I had to bring you here today. You've been avoiding our first meeting, which has been infuriating. Do you know how long I've been waiting for those Hallows to come together? Sorry. I didn't know what type of person you would be, so I decided to play it safe. Tom apologizes as she seems like the weight has affected her. Your apology is accepted as long as you bring the Hallows together when you return to your body, she says with a raised eyebrow. Sure, as long as you explain why you need a master in the first place. Tom asks as he wants to make sure this isn't some elaborate trap. Well, that's kind of a long story and we only have about a minute before you have to return to your body, or else you'll have to remain dead forever, Lady Death says gravely. All right, then give me the short explanation for now, Tom orders, causing Lady Death to perk up a bit. Finally acting like the master you are, huh? She says happily. Yeah, now be quick please. Tom tries to move things along. Well, I had a master a very long time ago. I lived my deathly life happily serving him, but he abandoned me and ran off to another multiverse. After a few million years of loneliness, I decided to create the Hallows. They were made to find the person that would be my perfect master. Someone that would never abandon me or break the trust one place in them. That person seems to be you, Tom. I actually regretted making those Hallows for a long time, as everyone that wielded them were power-hungry people that I would never wish to serve. Then you came along, and I've grown a small liking towards you. I don't think I regret making them anymore. At least, we'll see, won't we? As she finished explaining, Tom went to speak, but he disappeared before he could. The next thing he saw was the ceiling of the ritual room as he took a deep breath to fill his empty lungs. Flashback end. Chapter 141, Snake Meets Mother. Tom. The Ancient One calls out to him as he slammed into the floor. As she arrived by his side, she saw that he is completely knocked out. With a wave of her hand, golden eldritch runes surrounded his body to analyze his condition. After a few seconds, the Ancient One let out a relieved sigh. Nothing is wrong with him other than exhaustion from the ritual, which is normal, and a few very small bruises from hitting the floor. Once she saw that he was all right, the Ancient One levitated Tom from the ground and brought him out of the room. After cleaning the blood from his body and changing his clothes, the Ancient One deposited Tom in his bed and watched over him while he slept. The earlier analysis may have come back good, but she was far too worried for him to leave now. At least not until he wakes up. Days pass and the Ancient One doesn't leave Tom's side for a single second. She turned his room into her office for dealing with anything Camartage related. Although Tom hasn't woken yet, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with him. This was a very likely outcome of such a powerful and advanced ritual. After 3 days of waiting for Tom to wake up, the Ancient One was starting to get antsy. She knew this was bound to happen, but it's been 3 whole days of just sleeping. On the night of the 3rd day, the eyes of Tom's snake totem necklace started glowing brightly. When it happened, the Ancient One was doing paperwork, occasionally peeking over at her son. Every time she would look over, Tom would still be there with his eyes closed and a peaceful expression on his sleeping face. Then out of nowhere the room lit up and she saw his necklace glowing. Tom's once peacefully sleeping face twists into a more serious one. Looking closely, she could see that it was the snake god Manasa getting into contact with Tom. Probably a dream again. She thought as she stood from Tom's desk and moved to sit at his bedside. Due to her worry for her son, the Ancient One decided it was time to introduce herself to Manasa. With a resolute expression on her face, the Ancient One reaches over and grasps the snake totem hanging around Tom's neck. Pushing her consciousness into the totem, the Ancient One's vision clouds as she appears on a sunny beach. "I did not call you here, Granny Sorceress," a voice says from behind her. "I invited myself over for a quick chat. I thought I should introduce myself," the Ancient One says as she turns to see Manasa in her giant snake form. "I already know who you are, Ancient One," Manasa says in a deep and rumbling voice. "If you want to see Tom, he'll arrive in a few minutes. I'll see Tom sooner or later. I just wanted to speak to you for a moment." The Ancient One stares unwaveringly into Manasa's giant snake eyes. "Well, you're here, so ask away. Just be quick, will you? I have no interest in you. If you weren't Tom's mother, I would have eaten you for daring to enter my domain uninvited," Manasa says threateningly. In the face of this giant snake god threatening her, the Ancient One doesn't bat an eye as she just stares into the snake's eyes. That unwavering stare made even the snake god Manasa feel a small tinge of fear. "Then I'll be brief. I don't know you and I don't care to know you. If you hurt my son or somehow get him hurt or killed, I will come here and skin you alive before putting you out of your misery. I've encountered countless little gods like you over the years. Every one of them is either dead or sealed in very uncomfortable places for the rest of eternity. Do I make myself clear?" The Ancient One speaks calmly, but an unyielding presence can be felt. Giant Snake Manasa stares back into the Ancient One's eyes as she spoke every word. Manasa could feel a pressure radiating off the Ancient One that made even a god like her feel weak in comparison. "I said, do I make myself clear?" The Ancient One restates her previous question. The pressure from the bald sorceress seems to double at her question. The staring contest continues until it's broken by the giant snake. "Yes, you have." Manasa grounds out as she breaks eye contact with the Ancient One. Manasa could feel that she lost this encounter. The second she looked away, the Ancient One won. It's not like Manasa could attack her avatar's mother. Well, she could, but Tom would be very displeased, to say the least. What else could she do but agree? It's not like she plans to hurt Tom or get him killed. Manasa doesn't even know what she wants from Tom herself. She just ended up watching his interesting life and became attached. Good, as long as you treat Tom nicely and he isn't hurt or killed because of you, we will never have any problems. The Ancient One smiles in a friendly manner as if she didn't just threaten the giant snake before her. Now, I should be on my way. I expect him to wake up soon. She says pointedly, which actually meant make sure he wakes up or else. Before Manasa could reply, the Ancient One disappears from the sandy beach. Without her noticing, Manasa let out a relieved sigh at the sorceress's disappearance. The second the Ancient One disappeared, Tom appeared on the sandy beach for the third time. Huh? I'm here again? Tom says as he spots Manasa in her giant snake form. No Lamia today? Chapter 142 Wake Up. No Lamia today? Tom jokes as he's met with giant snake Manasa upon his arrival. Yes, there was an intruder here before your arrival. Manasa reveals as her form shifts and shrinks into the Lamia one Tom is used to seeing. That's better. Who was the intruder? Did you eat them? Tom asks as he takes a seat on the sandy beach and admires the view. No, I didn't eat them. I wanted to, but someone close to me would be upset if I had. Manasa answers but doesn't reveal who it was. I see. Tom nods as he wonders who else was close to Manasa. Maybe it was someone from Madam Web? Well, enough of that. I see you've done the ritual. Manasa says excitedly as she shakes off her earlier encounter. Yeah, I haven't had any time to check out my gains though. I passed out the second I woke up after the ritual. Tom says as he suddenly remembers his meeting with Lady Death. Oh, and I met Lady Death? Yes, I knew that already. Manasa interrupts Tom and finishes his sentence. How did you know? Tom asks, surprised that she knows. I went to bring your soul here. Manasa gestured to the beach around her. After you killed yourself for the ritual, but a deathly aura appeared and swept you away. It's not hard to take a guess who that aura belonged to. Especially since you own all three of those halos. Manasa explains. Oh, that makes sense. Tom nods as he lays back into the sand. So, anything I need to know now that I'm officially your avatar? Not really. As I've said before, I've never had an avatar before, so this is new to me as well. Manasa says as she slithers over to Tom and lounges beside him. You should have complete control of any animal or person that falls under the snake species. That I know for sure. Other than that, anything could happen. You could be immortal now, for all I know. Huh? Well, that would solve one of my future problems. If it's true, of course. Tom says as he did need to start working on immortality, or else he will be ancient by the time Avengers begins. If I am immortal, now I just need to make my loved ones the same. I'm fairly certain you are. When you wake up, ask your mother. I'm sure she will have a way to find out and test your new abilities. Manasa offers. Yeah, she would know what to do. Tom agrees. So, is there a reason you called me here? Other than celebrating me officially becoming your avatar, of course. Tom asks as he wants to go wake up and test his new powers. No, I just wanted to see you. Manasa admits. Oh, well, now that I'm your avatar, I'm sure we can see each other more often, correct? Tom asks. Yes, I can call you here while you're sleeping or meditating. If you ever want to speak with me, simply talk to me through the totem necklace. I'll hear you, and the next time you sleep or meditate I can bring you here. Manasa explains. Okay, sounds good to me. No offense, but can you send me back early? I want to discover and test my new powers. Tom asks, excited to see what powers he received. Sure. I'll be watching to see what powers you got as well. Manasa admits as she waves her hand. Goodbye, my avatar. At the wave of her hand, Tom's image blurs and disappears from the sunny beach. When the Ancient One returned from her trip to threaten a snake god, she stayed by Tom's beside, waiting for him to awaken. After an hour of prudently waiting, Tom started to stir as his eyes sluggishly opened. The Ancient One let out a sigh of relief as she saw him waking up from his 3 days of sleep. It's about time you wake up. The first thing Tom hears as he wakes up is his mother's irritated voice. I was contemplating dumping a bucket of ice-cold water on you. Well, thanks for not doing that. Tom answers in a tired voice as he rubs the sleep out of his eyes. If you slept for another day, I definitely would have though. The Ancient One admits. Another day? How long was I asleep for? Tom asks as he sits up. 3 days. She drops the bomb. Wow, that explains the extreme hunger and thirst, I guess. Tom says as he feels his stomach grumble. Mimsy. Pop. Master is awake. Mimsy appears with a blinding smile as tears cascade down her gray cheeks. Yes, and very hungry. Can you please get me a pizza from that place I like in New York and some ice-cold soda? Tom asks as his dry mouth almost waters at the thought of food. Mimsy is on it, Master. The excited elf exclaims. Pop. Are you going to share that pizza? Tom's mother asks. Sure, just don't eat it all like the last time. As she heard him say this, the Ancient One's eyebrow twitch. I did not eat it all. She denies. What do you call eating the entire thing and only saving me the crust? Tom asks with a raised eyebrow. Exactly, I didn't eat it all. She defends herself as Tom gives her the what the fuck look. Ignoring his mother's shameless behavior, Tom got up and walked to the bathroom. Although he's been asleep for 3 days, his body was still in top condition. In fact, it feels even better than normal. He'll have to look into that. As Tom steps into the bathroom, he's met with a floor-to-ceiling mirror. At first, he didn't notice anything new, but when he looked closer, he was truly shocked. De fuck? This marks the end of part 19 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.